tribals are the original inhabitants of a geographical area or a nation. The philosophy of tribal living is dictated by live and let live, and the culture of the people is deeply connected to nature. They have a strong sense of place and belonging to the land. Hence, the areas are marked by distinct boundaries, defending their lands against encroachments. History stands proof to the fact that tribals are never interested in invasion or expansion to other territories or boundaries. The Gonds are among the largest tribal groups in South Asia and perhaps the world. Gonds are freedom-loving tribals living in the hills and forests of India's Deccan Peninsula from times immemorial. From the annals of history, it is evident that the Gonds were never invaded by any kingdom or empire. The first to bow down atrocities on Gonds were the Britishers, penetrating into their forests, amassing wealth on the forest producers. Allying with the Nizam of the princely state of Hyderabad, the Britishers, by their forest policies, imposed prohibitive taxes on the forest producers used by the Gonds, bringing them to their knees. The original sons and daughters of the forests, the tribals, could not take this lying down. Initially, they faced many hardships, faced misery that created havoc in their lives, but never gave up. The spark of revolution began with Marsukola Ramjii Gond. Telangana saw the first uprising against the feudal lords, the Nizams and the British combined as early as 1857 under the leadership of Marsukola Ramjii Gond. This revolt of Ramjii Gond can be called as the first rebellion against the British in India, as a major part of the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. Marsukola Ramjii Gond belonged to the community of the Gondwana kingdom, which existed in central India, in the states of Telangana, Maharashtra and Odisha from the 14th to the 18th century. To counter the onslaught from the British and the Nizams, Marsukola Ramjii Gond joined hands with the Rohillas under their leader Haji Ali and trained young men in armed warfare and turned them into perfect warriors. Marsukola Ramjii Gond followed guerrilla warfare and intensified his fight against the British with his army comprising of Gonds, Kolams and aborigines of different tribes. The guerrilla warfare and familiarity with the rugged terrain and forest in Nirmal Ghats gave them an upper hand over the British. This all-out war continued for more than 2 years with a strong army of 300 tribals and 200 Rohillas in the large forest tracts spanning from Nirmal Narayankhed in the west and Chennur in the east, bordering the river Godavari in the south. The resistance from the Gonds shook the foundation of the British, sending tremors across the British government and Nizams. To put a check on Marsukola Ramjii Gond, the Britishers had to devise a new strategy. The British government appointed Colonel Robert to subdue Ramjii Gond. On a short notice, he marched in with contingent troops called the 47th Regiment NI, forming part of the Ballari column, and posted a detachment of the subsidiary force at Hingoli. In a few days, the land witnessed the macabre side of war. The collector of Nirmal received information that Ramjii Gond and other Reuters were sheltering near a mountain at a distance of 15 kuro from Nirmal and 4 kuro from the road. The place where Ramjii Gond camped was not easily accessible. Irrespective of the hostile terrain, the collector proceeded with the available force, suffering untold hardships. At around noon on the 1st of April 1860, they came eye to eye with Ramjii's army, about 200 Rohillas and 300 Gonds and Dakkanis. The offensive warfare by the Nizam British forces was designed to strike a quick and focused blow. Many of the rebels were wounded, few others killed. 30 dead bodies of the rebel Rohillas and others were found by the invading army. Some Jamadars of the rebel forces identified the dead body of Mia Sahib Kurd, a chief of the Rohillas who came from Narayankhed. Though the collector's army was successful in rounding up the rebels, their chiefs Marsukola Ramjii Gond and Haji Ali managed to escape. The British resident was intimated of the details of this ambush, and he in his reply appreciated the services of the Talukdar, urging the arrest of Ramjii Gond as soon as possible. Fateh Ali Khan, Thanedar of Chenur, was deputed for the assistance of the Thanedar of Edulabad. Fateh Ali Khan, in his capacity as an administrator, appears to have taken action against the Reuters of that region by certainly chasing them, rounding them up and bringing them to book. This was promised to the British resident at Hyderabad in his letter number 155, dated the 9th of April, 1860. The wounded Ramjii Gond could not run far away. After scorched earth military strategy, he was eventually caught by the Nizam British Army along with his men. Till the end, Ramjii Gond demonstrated valor in his fight against the Nizam and the Britishers. Even after all these years, the punishment meted out to the captured men can send a shudder of repulsion. Along with 1,000 of the Rohillas, Gonds and Dakkanis, Ramjii Gond is also said to have been hanged to the banyan tree located in the outskirts of Nirmal during the mid-September of 1860 CE. The banyan tree thence came to be called as the Banyan of 1,000 Nooses. The banyan tree fell down more than a decade ago, a symbol for atrocities in oppressive regime. Along with that, the memory of Ramjii Gond and his army erased from collective memory, making Ramjii Gond an unsung hero. Remembered for his extraordinary courage and heroism, Ramjii Gond stood as an inspiration to the rise of another great Gond leader, Kubaram Bhim, who raised the slogan of Mave Nate Mave Raj, our rule in our land.
Over